everyone. Happy April. It is first day of the month, new calendar switchover day, which I love. I've not had the chance to do that yet. My day has been a bit hectic so far, so apologies for being late, but here we are. And let's get into it, y'all. So, sorry, this tag is bugging me. I'm gonna switch over the tag. Okay. So, I'm actually pretty excited for April. I'm going to shuffle these cards as I'm talking to y'all. So I'm pretty excited for April. I feel like March, the energy of March was pretty intense. There's a lot going on. There was Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, and just to have these dates in the calendar for y'all, Mercury goes direct on April 7th, and Venus goes direct, I think, April 12th, followed by a fun full moon on the 13th. So we do have a lot going on this month too. Not quite in the same way because there's not two eclipses. So it'll be a bit different, but we survived the eclipse portal, y'all. And so if you guys are still trying to download and like make sense of what all happened for you during March, just a really quick tip as I'm giving these a little shuffle. What I would recommend doing is make sure that you know which house in your astro chart situation, which houses are associated with Virgo for that first eclipse, and then Aries for that second eclipse. So you don't have to have any planets in either of those houses at all. A lot of us don't. I actually don't, other than that Virgo rising, obviously. But I don't have any planets in either of those, and these eclipses still hit me really hard. So it still is going to rule a different area of your life, even if you don't have any planets up in there. So check it out. So hello, I'm glad there's at least a few people here live, even with my little delay. So if you are here live, please do let me know where you're viewing from. Let me know, how did that eclipse hit for you? How are you doing? How are things? And I'm going to give these a shuffle and also sip my coffee as I'm still a little bit waking up. All right. And I'm excited for April. The vibes feel good. The vibes feel really good. I can't believe we are officially in spring because it's still kind of cold here in Toronto. So let's see. What do we need to know for April? And I'm actually going to do something a smidge different for this session. I'm going to start with 3 cards for the month. And then what do we need to know about the month? Okay. Hydration is important, y'all. Okay, so we're starting off the month, interestingly, with no major arcana at all, and no cups, and no wands. So I'll show you guys all the cards, and then we'll talk about it. So here's our cards for what is the vibe of April, and these are quite interesting. So we'll get into what does this mean. 5 of Swords to start us off. Interesting card, a little bit tense, a little bit intense. This card is all about choosing our battles and making sure that we're not getting pulled into like stupid internal fights with ourselves or with other people. This card is very much around squabbles, arguments, disagreements, things of that nature. And it's usually going to be things that are not going to be serving us. So whenever this card comes up, I'm always like, do you really need to get involved with that? This is very much an arguing on the internet card. So if that is like a bad habit of yours, this is a bit of like a call out, like maybe we're not going to do that this month. Maybe we're going to put our energy somewhere else this month. Maybe this could be also our own mental squabble with ourselves. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Notice the ways that you sabotage yourself and notice the ways that you are all 3 figures in this card. Because sometimes this card is about us and a few other people. And sometimes it is about us having a little battle with ourselves. Right? So this card can point to negative self-talk. It can also point to self-sabotage, but not in such a nasty and bad way as we see in the 8 of Swords. This is much more like the negative self-talk, the kind of like the stuff in your mind that keeps you from trying things or doing things. or whatever. So keep a wrap on that this month. I do think this energy is going to end up being something that we do need to face in some which way. The fives do indicate that we're at this crossroads, kind of midway point. We can decide, do we want to still being negative? Do we want to still hold ourselves back when we don't really need to? Or do we want to use this as a leverage, as a kind of midway point that we're going to jump over and move through so that we can stop the negative self-talk and have control of our mind? Our mind can basically determine whether we have a great time or a bad time, and the same exact thing can be happening in our life. It's all about how we react. Silly example of this. I used to be friends with someone who was, this was a long time ago, and it was the winter time, and she like slipped on some ice, but like she didn't really fall. She just kind of slipped a bit, but she was fine. And so she went on this big ramble to me about how it's like bad. We need to like call the police and call the city and complain that she slipped on the ice and like blah, blah, blah. And for me, like that's not something I ever would have even noticed to have brought up. Like that would not have ruined my day. It would not have ruined my week. It's not something that I would have even thought about or remembered had happened. I would have just continued with my day. But for her, it sent her into like a negative spiral that fucked up her entire week. So notice, right? How do you react to things? Are you choosing to react in a negative way? Are you blowing things out of proportion? Are you making mountain out of molehills? And are you putting more negative energy and just more drama, more nasty thoughts on something than it really requires? This card is a bit of a call out for that. So we're going to watch ourselves this month with that. And it does make sense since we've got 2 planets going direct. And the retrogrades can be these reflective cycles, right? Like I do know quite a few folks getting divorced during this Venus retrograde period, which is quite interesting. Obviously, Venus rules over that romantic sector, the feelings, the love, all of that. And so Venus retrograde would be a time where people would get divorced. That would make sense. And I know quite a few people where that is their situation, interestingly, right? So now that we've kind of been through those retrogrades where we are more likely to be caught up in this, but also sometimes this can be a useful reflective thing in a retrograde, like what fights do we want to no longer have? And so then we step out of the situation entirely. That's something to keep in mind. But now those retrogrades are going to be ending. We are moving away from this kind of midway point squabbling energy, right? We're moving towards something else. And so the something else that we're moving towards is actually quite lovely. I love the Pentacles. I think the Pentacle is such a great suit. And I want to draw your guys' attention to the fact that this is kind of 2 opposite ends of the coin of the elements, right? So we've got the air, the swords, that is the most airy, ephemeral, abstract, and then we've got the pentacles, aka the coins suit, which are the most solid, the most grounded, the most materially significant. So that's kind of interesting that we're seeing the 2 opposite ends of this spectrum, so to speak, with our initial pull for this month. So the 9 of Pentacles. So notice we've got 2 different odd numbers here. Odd numbers, the way that I read it, does tend to be conflict, but also the movement, right? We're not in this piece of stagnation. We're not balanced. We're moving. We are transitioning. We are in some kind of flux state, getting from point A to point B, and we're making changes and transformations in our life. So I personally really love that pattern here of these odd numbers. So the 9 of Pentacles is really lovely. It's a very bougie card. This person is luxuriating in all of their lovely things that they've been able to accumulate. It's really, really lovely. It's also a slow down and smell the roses type of card. We see this cute little snail friend at the bottom here. And so this snail is a reminder, like we might have been so caught up in whatever this is referencing that we've forgotten to slow down, smell the roses, and appreciate what we have. And I know all of you guys are not getting divorced, but I know enough of my students and clients are getting divorced, and just people I know in the world, that I do want to say, when we are going through some kind of big life transition, like where we are divvying up assets, or we are experiencing what might be a potential like feeling of material loss or change or downsizing, when we do experience these big transitions, this is an opportunity to look at what we do have, because it might feel like, oh God, like I'm moving backwards, I'm downsizing, I'm moving into a smaller apartment, I'm getting rid of my stuff, or like my ex is keeping my stuff, or like whatever that is in your situation. It can be easy to forget how abundant our lives actually are. And so, this card, whatever you're going through this month, whether it is those separations, as many people will be experiencing due to that Venus retrograde ending in the middle of the month, this card is a reminder to bask in the goodness, the wealth, the material abundance that you have cultivated in your life up until this point. Really, really important. So bask in what you have, right? Like if you do have nice, like one nice perfume, like wear that every single day. If you have a nice bag that like you only take out on special occasions, like maybe take that out a little bit more often when it makes sense to do so. Obviously, like maybe not every day in every circumstance, but this card is very much about leaning into what we have cultivated, the luxuries that we have cultivated, and making sure that we're not taking that for granted. This is very much a card of gratitude and cultivating an attitude of gratitude. I realize that sounds very cheesy, but it's incredibly important. And many of us forget. Many of us, there is this thing called the hedonic treadmill where it's like we just keep getting used to new levels of abundance and we take it for granted and we forget to be appreciative of what we've cultivated in our lives so far. And so this card is like, no, we actually do need to bask in that a little bit. That's going to be the medicine that we need right now for what we're going through at this point in time. That's super, super important. And if anyone has any questions on that, please let me know. So next up, King of Pentacles reverse is interesting. So I'm going to pull a few cards around this. So I'm thinking for some of us, since this is a collective reading, for some of us, that's going to be us. And for some of us, it's going to be someone we know. Ooh, interesting pull. Interesting pull. I'm also just going to turn down the heat slightly, you guys. It's like kind of hot. 1 second. Okay. That is better. Okay, so this is really interesting. So now we've got our first major arcanas of the reading. And one of them is reversed and the other one is not. So again, these cards are in reference to this card, the King of Pentacles reversed. And so if you think that the King of Pentacles reversed is you, and if it's you, some ways to know that the King of Pentacles reversed is you might be feeling like you don't have a handle on your finances. You might be feeling kind of controlling. You also might be feeling like you're overspending. When the King of Pentacles is upright, he is in control, he is mature, he is balanced, he is very chill, he is reliable, he's cultivated an ability to provide for himself and potentially others. The reversal is like some kind of like fucked up perversion of this. So the reversal can be someone who is a little bit controlling. Maybe you are using this money to, I don't know, control someone or manipulate them or whatever. And this could be either yourself, you're doing that. So it could be a little bit of a call out, or it could be someone in our lives. So I'm just going to go over if this is you, if you think you are the King of Pentacles, the card for you is the Chariot reversed. So I love this card. It's very much about balance, and it's very much about where we are directing our energy to. And so if you are the King of Pentacles reversed, what I would say is there's so many other ways that you can be using your energy. There's so many different ways you could be directing the abundance that you have rather than controlling other people. What I always recommend people focus on with magic or otherwise is to focus on controlling themselves first and foremost. That's the most important part of magic, in my opinion. That's the most effective and successful magic, when we are able to focus all of that energy onto controlling our own self and having that awareness. And self-control, again, just keeps coming up for me with this. making sure that we're directing our energy in ways that are healthy. So the King of Pentacles reversed mixed with the Chariot reverse, like, yeah, you have the ability, a massive ability to shape a situation, control the energy of a situation, manipulate a situation potentially. But are you manipulating it for the good or for the bad? Are you being petty, and are you just like putting your fingers in other people's business and controlling them and manipulating the situation just because you can? Or are you doing something that you probably should be doing, which is actually just redirecting that energy into your business or into your kids or like whatever that is in your situation? So this is very much like a misdirected energy that we can redirect, but right now it's being directed in an unhealthy way. This is a little bit of a call out. And if the King of Pentacles reverse is someone that you know and it's not you, the card for you is the Empress. And I love this card. How beautiful is that? So good. I love how it matches with my nails. That's so fun. So the Empress is all about softness, soft power. And so the way to respond to someone who is, let's say, controlling and trying to be a little bit like manipulative and controlling and directing everyone towards a certain thing is to actually not play that game at all and be soft, be in feminine energy, be a little bit not reserved, but kind of. Like you'll notice that she isn't like seizing the day. She's kind of like leaned back, she's chilling. Notice that all of the different shapes in this card are very smooth. It's curved lines. None of this is rigid. This is very rigid. And so this is an interesting story as opposed to these two, right? And so if you do have someone like this in your life who is being annoying, the answer is not to be like this and engage in power in that way. The answer is to embody a soft feminine energy that is also powerful and abundant. Because when we encounter folks like this, we might think that we have to lower ourselves to that level. And this is no offense to anyone at all if this is describing you. We all have our bad moments and things we're not proud of. It happens. So like, don't feel too called out, but handle your shit. When we encounter people like this, it can be easy to contort ourselves into being a certain way, right? To behave kind of like this. But we don't have to do that. It's completely optional. We can live in such a way where we maintain our power, where we don't have to, let's say, move ourselves down to someone else's level and engage with them in their game. We don't have to do that. What we can do instead is engage in a soft power, step back a little bit, be more soft in the way that we're dealing with conflict, right? We don't have to get sucked in to a dysfunctional dynamic. And the person who is causing the dysfunctional dynamic, for any of you guys who are listening to this, you can opt out. You don't have to behave in that way. You'll probably actually get a better result if you don't. And for folks who are dealing with people who are kind of controlling, we can just opt out. We don't have to engage by those rules. We can make our own rules, and we can decide what does power and sovereignty and authority look like and feel like for us, and that can be telling a different story. That can be embodying life and reality in a completely different way. I love this card. I think that's really beautiful. I'm gonna sip some coffee. I do love these cards. And one thing I'm noticing too is all these cards except for the Five of Swords are all yellow. And so even though some of these cards are like a smidge of a call out, what I want to say about this is yellow is a really good color. It's also very much a solar plexus color. That's the reason I got my nails yellows. I want to be really in touch with my solar plexus right now. And solar plexus is all about the will, the individuation, being yourself and having a really strong core identity. And so I think life gets a lot brighter when we're able to do that. And so I do think that is partly what all of these beautiful yellow cards are all about. Okay, so now we're going to pull some cards for what do we need to know this month? about those vibes and just vibes in general. And if you're just logging on, feel free to say hello and let me know where you're viewing from. And if you like the reading, please give it a little thumbs up. I'm still new to YouTube, you guys. I don't really know how it works, but I think I'm supposed to tell you guys that. Okay, so what else do we need to know this month? How can we make the best of the energy that is swirling this month? Let's see. And one more. Okay, so this is interesting. Now we got all even numbers, moving on from those odd numbers. And we've also got 2 10s, and we have no cups. No cups at all. And so I would say, likely, what does that tell us? This month is not going to be a month of romancing and love, most likely, especially since Venus retrograde is ending in the middle of the month. So if you guys are thinking this is going to be like a lovey-dovey cute month, I don't think that's the energy. I think the energy is much more around personal transformations, personal transitions, big changes. I think this month is going to be all about digesting and moving through the changes that were instigated in March with the 2 eclipses. And so it really is a personal self month energy, right? Transitions, changes, endings. We have 2 different 10 cards. The 10 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles reversed. Very interesting. And we also have the 2 of Pentacles and the 4 of Swords reversed. So this is quite an interesting combination. So since we've got 2 10s here, I do think that many of us are like experiencing this transition and ending point, which makes sense since we just had 2 eclipses and also 2 retrogrades are ending this month, right? And so the energy really is around, okay, so now that we've done all this reflection, we've had these transformative downloads, these realizations, these changes that we've been experiencing, these endings are reflected in these cards. So this 10 of Wands is very much like, okay, well, we've been experiencing a burden. How can we lighten this load now that we know certain parts of our life are ending? What can we put down and hand over to someone else? That's going to be an incredibly important thing. So how can you lighten your load? What do you need to delegate? And what do you just need to stop doing? Like in a workplace environment, this would be like handing over these tasks to someone else, like preparing a workplace transition document so the person who's taking over your job can do what you need to do, et cetera, et cetera. What endings are you on the brink of? And making sure that you're protecting your energy as you're going through these transitions and changes. Sometimes when we're in transition or change, we keep holding on to these tasks that we're trying to move away from. So this is like, drop all the fucking wands. Personally, I would just drop them all and reset. We're going to want to walk away from all of these tasks, whatever these are, these drains on our energy that have been clouding our vision. We're going to want to just put these down. We don't need to do this, right? Except to the ending. A lot of people avoid endings. And I think this is also an ending that many of us might be avoiding. I see this as stepping away from certain communities. As I said earlier, I do know many folks who are getting divorced right now. And so this could be residual feelings around that, splitting up the family. That's not really how I see it, but that's how some of us might experience that. Even if it's what we know we need to do, there's going to be feelings around the togetherness looks different now. And so I think many of us are going to be switching away from friend groups, switching away from certain communities. The family dynamic is going to be changing. Some of us are going to be moving, leaving our workplaces, switching the type of clients we're working with. This is very much around an ending around certain types of communal experiences, working with people, family dynamics, etc. So be present to the endings, mourn what you need to mourn, but also know that this is the endings time. It is time to make these transitions. And so it's going to be better for us if we jump on that boat, that bus now, and allow the transition to happen and embrace it rather than fighting it. This is also a really good time this month to look at what our financial entanglements are. Who are you working with? What clients are giving you money? Who are you giving money to? Who are you working with in regards to your money? That could be financial planners, accountants, tax people. I don't know, whatever that happens to look like. Financial partnerships. In what situations can you have a situation that blossoms? Who do you need to work with? This is very much about people coming together to create something beautiful and more expansive than either party is able to do by themselves. So who do you need to partner with financially to get you through this moment and to create more abundance, more financial windfall than you're experiencing at this point? I guess it's kind of tax season for many of us, so this could be like a bit of a reference to that. So just keep that in mind. But it can also be business partnerships. It can be business collaborations. It can be getting a loan for school, like anything that involves us and also other people in a financial situation. So it is a good time if anyone does want to get a loan or invest more, or I don't know, like switch up your accounting systems or hire someone new, hire some kind of new person. I do think it is a really, really good time for that type of thing. The energies are vibing at the moment, where whoever it is that we stumble upon is probably going to end up being a pretty good fit for us. So I do really love that as a card. All right, let's see. And our next card, Four of Swords reversed. So this is a reminder to make sure that we do rest, that we do take the time to rejuvenate, that the rest that we do take is meaningful rather than just like doom scrolling. And the rest that we take is actually restful. You know, like we might feel tempted to doom scroll like on Instagram or social media or TikTok or like whatever it is you use, and that might feel like we're relaxing. But you're actually probably going to feel a lot more relaxed and rejuvenated mentally if you go on a walk, if you go to the beach, if you go on a walk through a ravine or a forest, or just like a walk around the block. That will probably be more mentally refreshing than doom scrolling. And so make sure that whatever format your rest and rejuvenation takes, that you are actually resting, that it's not just like pretending to rest. And I get it. I totally doom scroll sometimes too. I think it can be fun, but just know that that is not actually going to be helping you rest in the way that this card wants us to. This card is a little bit of a warning around burnout. So if you are feeling really burnt out, if you are feeling really exhausted, it's going to be really important for us this month to create some solid structures for our mental health. And I don't mean that in like a we're going to go crazy type of way, more around fatigue and burnout and exhaustion, and making sure that we are carving out the structures and times and routines that allow us to actually meaningfully rest and rejuvenate ourselves and chill. That is going to end up being a really important thing. And the reversal, I would say in this context, means that we're probably not going to want to. We're probably going to want to make sure that we're going out and all of this and doing fun stuff. And we're going to want to have a really jam-packed April. The weather is starting to get nicer, et cetera, et cetera. But it will kick us in the ass later if we don't create a container for our own relaxation and our own rejuvenation this month. So that's important. I want to say that's almost the reading, but I want to do one more card for us, short reading for today. And I'm sure I'll come back, as this does feel short. So I want to come back later this month and do another one of these for y'all, maybe around the full moon. So maybe on that Sunday the 13th, whatever day that is, where there is the full moon. Okay, what's one more message we need to know to have the best month for April? Because the vibes are like kind of interesting. They're definitely scattered. I feel like the April vibes are scattered because we are picking up the pieces with whatever it is that we learned and went through, the transformative moments that we felt with the eclipses and with the retrogrades. So it does kind of make sense that this month wouldn't be very grounded, because we're still trying to understand, what did we learn? What just happened? What's going on? And we're still just acclimatizing in the first place to some of these big changes, these big energetic shifts that are hitting us in a few different ways. And so with eclipses, like it can hit us immediately. Like we can have these big realizations. And it doesn't mean that our life changes instantly. Like we often do have to spend some time catching up. And so I think that's what April is about, like getting our ducks a bit in a row, appreciating what we do have, ending what we need to end, realizing the things that need to end. Again, the communities, the overgiving. What is one more message we need to know? The Lover is reversed. Don't refuse to make the choice. The other name for this card is the Choice. And it's a choice between what we feel obligated to do because of society and then what we really want to do from our heart. And so what I always tell people is do what you need to do from your heart. The world works a bit better when everybody is operating on that level. Because if we're all operating from obligation, we're just in a space of resentment towards each other and ourselves. And like, I hate that. I don't think that's a good way to live. So with this, the project for everyone this month, to sum it up, is to really be beginning to walk on our new path. We're going to embrace our new path, even though it's hard, even though it's tough. And we do have this really lovely sun energy that is pushing us there. And a lot of these cards, as I said earlier, are yellow and blue and like very bright and fun. Treya, do not eat that, please. She's such a troublemaker, trying to destroy what the laptop is balancing on. Stop it. And so the reversal with this means that we might be rejecting our path, but we ultimately all know where our heart wants to lead us. We all have a decent idea, I would say, of what our path is and where we really want to go if we were not feeling encumbered. And so this month, we've got this really amazing opportunity to follow this path, to become the person that we want to be with all these eclipse lessons, right? With all these eclipse downloads that we got. We've got this opportunity to become the person that we've wanted to be. And this eclipse, these two eclipses, this eclipse portal has, especially with the retrogrades, has shown us how to do that. It's shown us what's not working. What do we need to release? And what do we need to move towards? The Lovers is reverse is like, don't ignore the call to be more. Life, you're not dead yet. Why not spend the life that you've got left being true to you? Everyone benefits when we're honest about who we are. And when we follow that path and take the actions and release what we need to release to get closer to who we are, to be in integrity with who we know we are and who we want to be. It's not an easy transformation, but I think it is what makes life worth living. That's my opinion. And I'm going to leave y'all with that. So happy April. Remember this card. If you guys remember one card from today, I want it to be this one. And so I would love to know in the comments and in the chat, how are you going to embrace your true path, the path from your heart this month, and move away from the path of obligation that others want you to take? It's about you. And that might sound like it's selfish, but I actually don't think so. I think it's self-oriented. It brings us back to the solar plexus chakra, yellow, individuation and self. But when everyone is able to operate on that frequency, everyone elevates and we're all able to engage with each other in more authentic, heartfelt, genuine ways. So I'm going to leave y'all with that, and I'll probably do another live sometime later this month, probably for the full moon, so stay tuned. Just as like a mid-month check-in. All right, y'all, happy April. And if you do want to go watch the March tarot for the month ahead video, now that March is done, I would really recommend it because it can help you understand what the hell did I just go through. And I do think sometimes watching the videos at the beginning and the end of the month can be super helpful. So the beginning of the month, you might have an idea of how it's going to land, but at the end of the month, you'll know and you'll be like, oh shit, that was correct for these reasons. and it might help you understand it a little bit more, resent your situation a little bit less, and get more in touch with yourself and what can you do about your circumstances. Okay, friends, that's it from me for now. Bye.